What's going on, guys? I want to talk to you about paintball gloves. Now, I'm one of the people that is a strong believer that it's good to protect your hands while you're playing paintball. Not just from the paintballs themselves, but the environment as well. So we're going to cover several different types of gloves. Not necessarily just different brands or different model types, but different styles, whether it be fingerless, your general mechanical gloves, paintball specific gloves, and gauntlets, and by extension arm pads with gauntlets built into them. I'll also be going over some of the pros and cons that you'll normally see with each different style. That way it'll help you pick out which type of gloves you want to go ahead and purchase, whether it be your absolute beginner or you're an experienced player. To start off with, we have fingerless gloves. These are your general basic gloves that will get you in the game, since they're relatively cheap and can be found most anywhere, in any hardware store or anything like that. Both these ones were sub $10, so for anyone who's just starting out or if you're on a budget, great choices. To start off with this one, you can tell I've used this quite a bit. This is just your basic gloves. It'll protect your skin. It doesn't really have any sort of protection on it. This version itself has some little grippy beads on the inside to help you grab your gear. Not all of them are like that, but if you can find some, that's an extra plus. They are relatively cheap, as you can see. They fall apart. I mean, these ones right here were $5. You can just replace them when you wear them out. And these ones right here, I believe, were $7 to $9. They give you that extra protection on the knuckles and the back of the hand from impacts from paintballs, which is pretty good if you're worried about getting hit in the hands. I can tell you, I've been hit in the hands plenty, and that's why I wear paintball gloves all the time now. Some of the pros and cons of this style of glove. Pros, you get that extra dexterity with your fingertips. You're not fumbling around, losing feeling or touch, so you can move, so you can manipulate your gear, or if you're playing a scenario, you can grab props or anything like that much more easily. Another pro is that they're cheap. You can replace them if they get worn out, or they'll fit into most any budget. Some of the cons are, well, your fingers are exposed. So if you're playing in the woods or any place with like really rough environment, you can probably hurt your fingers a bit. Also, paintballs will smack your fingers, and they don't typically feel good. For this one particularly, it is a thick material and it can get hot. So if you're playing in hot weather, this one's going to make your hands sweat a bit. Do note that I personally like the ones with the Velcro on them. The ones with that are just elastic bands, I found that those cut off my circulation. So if at all possible, get ones with Velcro around the wrist. Now we have mechanics gloves. These are general shop gloves that you can find just about anywhere. These ones I got, in an automotive store, and these I got at a hardware store. They are a bit more expensive than your general fingerless gloves, but they also offer more protection and more durability. Now, these are two different types of mechanics gloves. This one right here specifically is the Impact series, and this is like their classic general mechanics gloves. Some of the difference between the two of these gloves is this one has more protection on it. So it's protected along the fingers, the back knuckles, the pointer knuckle, as well as the pointer fingers, and the palm of the hands as well. And then your general mechanics glove, it doesn't really have any protection, so to say, but it is slightly thicker on the backhand side than some other gloves, and it has a little bit more protection along the tips of the fingers. Some of the pros and cons of each one of them. We're going to start with the impacts. Pros, lots of protection. If you get hit in your hand on this one, which I've had happen many times, it won't hurt you at all. If it hits the back of your hand, it's most likely going to hit the rigid rubber, or even if it's in between your fingers, it is still pretty thick in there. The classic mechanics give you a little bit more cover than the fingerless gloves, and they're also quite flexible, so you have a little bit of dexterity going on there. Some of the cons, specifically with the Impact series, is that the pointer finger and the thumb, you don't have very much dexterity, and you can't really feel much since that material there is pretty thick, and like even doing this, I can't really feel too terribly much rubbing up against each other. So if you're having to manipulate your gear, it's going to be a bit harder to do so. Another thing I'm not too crazy about, specifically with the classic ones, I feel like the Velcro is... well, to put it nicely, I don't like the Velcro at all. I think it's lame. I mean, you can tell it's not really Velcroing, or it's not holding very well. I can just go and touch it and it comes right off. That will happen in mid-game. Also, they are a bit bulkier, so compared to the fingerless gloves, your dexterity is going to be going down quite a bit. I mean, you can tell my finger is able to move around there pretty easily. Another downside is they are hot. They're thick gloves. They don't have a lot of breathability to them. So if you're playing in warmer weathers, this is going to be a bit toasty for you. But they're still relatively well priced. I think I got these ones between 15 and 20 bucks, and these are $30 to $35. Alright, now we have gloves that are meant specifically for paintball. On the left hand side I have some from HK Army, and these are from Social Paintball. Two different types of gloves, two different companies, both have different key aspects to them that make them quite nice. Usually if you can, it is advisable to get gloves that are meant for paintball if you're going to be using them for paintball. Some of the reasons why is that they are a bit more form-fitting. So you can tell compared to the mechanics gloves, the fingers are much smaller, so it hugs your finger and allows you to have a little bit more dexterity to them. Also, some of these gloves, like specifically the Social Paintball ones that I'm wearing here, if you can tell in the video, this area right here is a bit thinner material, so if you're running an electro and wanting to walk the trigger, you have a bit more dexterity going on right there. There are also half-fingered versions as well, which being that instead of it being a thin material right here, it's actually cut off. So you have the ring and pinky and the thumb, and then these are wide open, which gives you even more dexterity for walking the trigger. Some of the other nice things about paintball specific gloves are that specifically with this one right here, you can see that the joints have some separation, so it adds a little bit more for flexibility, so you're not feeling like it's binding up on you. Also, they come with some grippy insides, so like this one, you can tell all the gray right here will help you grab onto your gear and hold on to it. I've been using these for about a year and a half now, I think. You can tell it's starting to wear out, but these are by far my favorite gloves since they've held up longer than any other glove I've used. Another nice aspect as well is breathability. You can see right here it's a little bit thinner on the backside. This helps air circulation, so for these gloves specifically, it's thinner right here along the thumbs and on the back of the fingertips as well. Some gloves you'll find that they have mesh going up along the inside seam, and those are actually really good as well. Some paintball specific gloves will also have some padding and key locations like on the back of the knuckles and on the back of the fingers. This one has a little bit thicker padding on the back of the hand. This one has minimal padding, but it provides pretty good protection for what it is. A lot of them also have paddings on the palms of your hand here, so if you go to slide, you can just impact the ground and it won't rip up the glove so much, and it won't hurt your palms nearly as much either. Some of the pros of the gloves meant for paintball are they're designed for paintball. They're designed for players who are getting dirty on the field, who are handling gear, who are playing hard and getting hot. So they help keep you cooler. They give you protection where you need it, and mobility and dexterity where you need it as well. Plus that extra grippy on the inside, it's really nice. Once you start using them and seeing the difference between like the mechanics gloves, which have absolutely no grippy on the inside, it will kind of spoil you. Some of the cons that I would probably point out are maybe price on these guys. Paintball specific gloves can be a little bit more expensive than your general gloves like that, but they're on par with the impacts. So I think these ones specifically were $35, and these were about $30 to $35 as well. They can be more expensive. They can also be cheaper as well, depending on what features that they have on the gloves. And then last but not least, Gauntlet Style gloves. These ones are almost like your minimalist type of gloves. Probably these ones not so much since it has a thumb part. But you can tell right here the built-in gauntlets on the arm pads will protect the back of your hands. because they have that extra padding on there as well. Not so much on the palm of your hands, but you get that extreme dexterity of just having your fingers right there. These ones, you still have your fingertips available, and it has protection where you need it. Like it's padded on the back side of the gloves, and it has some padding so if you wanted to go to slide. These ones from NXC specifically have a microfiber cloth on the back of the thumb. So if you get some splatter from the bunker or anything like that, you can just take this and rub it on your lens to clear off a whole bunch of that splatter. Some of the pros of these style are they are typically cooler. Well, yeah, they look cool as well, but they are cooler temperature wise. You can see it's protecting the key areas, the back of your hands and some of the palm of your hands, but still allowing you to grab what you need, manipulate your gear pretty easily. It is open on the top, which with a little strap right there to help prevent it from sliding all the way back on you. But they do keep you a little bit cooler. For me personally, this is just myself for these gloves. These are an extra large, but I find that the thumb is a little bit short on here. I probably would just end up cutting the tip of it so you get your thumb sticking out while still having a microfiber cloth on there. It'd probably fit me a little bit better if I did so. Now for you guys who want to run your arm pads with the built-in gauntlets and gloves, you can do that as well. I personally do the same thing because I like my hands covered, but I also like this part holding the arm pads onto my arm without them sliding around. My past versions did not have that, and they would slide all over the place, but you can slip your gloves right over it, no problem. They are low profile enough where it will not interfere. It will be a little bit bulkier on the back side, but really it's not gonna do you any harm at all. I play like this all the time. I notice no difference, and it's still pretty comfortable. And if you guys have any gloves that you specifically like to use, go ahead and post them in the comments below so other people have an idea of what else to look for. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.